Hello. So in our previous video we worked on using sound sensor to control our 12 volts fan. What I'm going to do now is just to show you the step-by-step process on how to use your 5-volt sensor to control your 12-volt fan. So in the previous video, if you noticed, I just explained how each component works, but now I'm going to show you the step-by-step process on how to connect to control your 12-volt fan with a 5-volt sensor. So this is a sound sensor. So there are several sound sensors. You can either get this one or you can get this one, but I'll be using this one today. So if you notice, we have 3 pins. We have the ground and the output pin and the 5-volt pin, which is the input pin, and then we have our MOSFET transistor. So our MOSFET transistor would actually help us to supply the 12 volts we need to power this fan. And then we know that this is actually a 5-volt sensor, so most of our sensors use 5 volts. So 12 volts will be too much for the sensor. So to control the sensor, we'll be using this is a buck converter. So in your buck converter, right, you see that your buck converter has both the outputs and the input. So the output is what will be connecting to our sensor, and then the input is what will be connecting to our 12 volts. So when I mean our 12 volts, I mean connecting to our 12 volts power supply and ground. Alright, so let's start with connecting the MOSFET transistor. So we actually have 3 pins. So this is the MOSFET transistor. So if you notice, this is what we'll be using. So this is the IRL1Z. If you can see this very well, IRL1Z44G. So we actually have the IRF, but you can actually use any of them. They actually do the same thing. So first we'll pin this. So if you know about your breadboard, if you're a beginner, you know that for your breadboard, this line, that's this rows are connected, but then columns, right, are not connected. So now if we fix this in, right, so whatever we're connecting within this point here is connected to this pin here. But however, if we connect it this way, nothing is going to be connected. So in our MOSFET transistor, we have 3 pins. This is the first pin, second pin, and the third pin. So the first pin on our left hand side, this is called the gate, and then the middle pin is the drain pin, and the third pin is the source pin. So the gate is what usually controls our sensor, and then the drain is what goes to our fan, which is the middle pin, and the last source goes to the ground. So if you want to really understand about MOSFET, you can easily, like, maybe go to Google and then search for the pin out of this MOSFET. I also attach a link to my site so you can actually see the pin out of MOSFET, just in case you miss out on this. So like I mentioned, the first pin is the gate. So now we'll be needing a 200 ohms resistor and a 1k ohm resistor. So for the 200 ohm resistor, so one thing you need to know is that we need to like connect the 1k resistor will be connected to ground. That's because we don't want our should I say our connection to be open, whereby you keep having the fan will keep moving irrespective of you not using your sensor. So you connect this to ground, your 1k resistor, and then this other one, sorry, this will be connected here. Okay, so the next step, remember I said we have 3 pins. So like you see now, we already connected the left pin, the here to ground. So let me just make this neater. So we connected this to ground. So the middle pin is what's going to, that's our drain, is what's going to our fan. So we have not connected the, if you want to see the back side, well, so we're connecting that first pin, that's the left pin, but the middle pin and the third pin, they are still empty. So the next thing we're going to do is we bring our fan. So now if you check your fan, your 12-volt fan, we have 3 wires here. So your red wire is more like your positive power supply, and then the black is the ground. So so now the black wire, which is the negative wire, and the red wire is the positive wire. So what we do now, you can use your jumper wire to connect this. So first we're connecting this, so just pay attention. We have the black, the red, and the yellow, so we'll be needing just the black and the red. So the black is the negative wire, while the red is the positive wire. So now we're connecting our drain to the negative wire, which is the black wire. So remember, our MOSFET, the drain of our MOSFET is the middle pin, so we connect this to the middle pin. You're connecting the black to the middle. So now what is left is the red and the yellow. So now the red is going to power supply, which is our 12 volts. So now remember I mentioned that we have 3 pins for our MOSFET. The middle pin is what's going to the fan, and then this is what's going to our sensor, the first pin, that's the left. Now the last pin is what's going to ground. So we connect this last pin here, sorry, we connect this. I think I just messed up my jumper wire. So connect this last pin to ground. So connect the last pin to ground. So that's the first step. So we've actually connected our MOSFET. So now the next thing we have to do is our sensor. So I already have wire here. So our sensor, like I mentioned, we have 3 pins for our sensor. So like I mentioned, the ground of our sensor, that's the GND. We'll be going to the output, that's this, the output, the negative output of this buck converter, while the positive output will be going to 5 volts. So let's get this. So for your buck converter, like this buck converter I have, right, it needs soldering, but if you don't know how to solder, I'll show you what to do. So as a beginner, I'll just show you what to do instead of using your soldering iron. So let's connect the sensor. So remember, we have 3 pins, the output. So now I want this output to be connected to this wire. So you can see the output, which is the middle pin, is connected to this wire. So if you have a jumper wire, you connect it to this middle pin. So now this middle pin will be connected to our MOSFET. That's this first pin here. So remember, I said our MOSFET will have 3 pins. So the next thing we have to do is we connect this from here, from this resistor, and from the resistor to the middle pin, which is our output. So the MOSFET is connected to resistor. Oh, I think this wire is just too short. So let's get a longer wire. So we have longer jumper wire. So we connect this first pin of our MOSFET. Please notice this is connected to the first pin. So the first pin of our MOSFET is going to this middle pin, this middle output, which is connected. We can easily connect it here, but I want the work to be neat, so that's why I'm using this wire here. So we connect it to this point. So now we're left with the output of our sensor, the ground of our sensor, that's the first pin, and then the 5 volts. So I mentioned that the ground of our sensor and the 5 volts will be connected to the buck converter. So for a buck converter, if you don't really know how to solder, what you can easily do is just to get a breadboard. You place it. So remember, we have to check where is our input and where is our output. So our output is what's going to the sensor, while input is what's going to 5 volts. So now output is our right to our left hand side. So we have to be sure that this is the negative and this is the positive output. So what we'll do next is just to place this here and get a jumper wire. So you place a jumper wire inside this hole. Sorry that my wiring is kind of okay. So you get another jumper wire. So you have to pin all the holes. need to place this properly, but the best thing is to solder anyway. But at this point I don't really want to solder, so fixing this is since this is kind of time consuming though, but let's get going. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I think this is fine now. Okay, this, so when you fix it, okay, so this has been fixed. So like I mentioned, this side is the output on our left, so this is the output part and this is the input. So for the output, this is the positive part of the output and this is the negative part of the output. The positive part of the output is this point, the negative part of the output. So this positive part is what's going to, so this positive part of the output, which is this first pin, is what's going to our 5 volts. Okay, and then this negative part, which is this other pin, is what's going to the ground. Okay, so I can easily connect it at the back side, but the ground is just this first pin here, so I'm connecting it here. So if you have space in front, you can easily connect it. So I've connected the 5 volts to this output and connected the ground negative to the ground of the sensor. So now the input part of our sensor, which is this other side, we're going to connect it to our main source, which is this 12 volts. So we have the outputs, sorry, the inputs. We have the inputs positive, so this will be connected to our positive, and this will be connected to the negative. So what we have to do next is to get the 5 volts power supply. So remember, our buck converter is supposed to supply 5 volts to the sensor. So now we have to measure our buck converter using multimeter. So now I need to turn on my power supply first. So what I normally use is I use this bench power supply. So most times, for safety reasons, I don't actually connect directly to the AC. So this is more like a DC power supply, so you can easily get this as part of your electronic equipment. So I'll be connecting this now to power supply. So now if you notice, this is at 9, but we need a 12 volts. So right now, if you notice, our sensor is not on. There's no light. There's no light to indicate that the sensor is on or off, and there's no light for the buck converter, meaning that something is wrong somewhere. So it's possible that there's no power supply going in here. So what we have to do next is we connect this back to ground, and then this other part, because it seems the left hand side is not getting the power supply, so we connect here to here. So can you see that there's light on for birds? So that's to show that our sensor is working now and our buck converter is working. So like I mentioned, we have to check if our buck converter truly is 5 volts, supplying 5 volts to our sensor. So the next thing we have to do is to get an alligator pin. So this is an alligator pin. This is an alligator pin. So what we'll be doing now is to connect this alligator pin to the buck converter. So now this stuff is off. I don't really know what is happening. Okay, it's on now. So now, to ensure that our buck converter is truly sending 5 volts, because remember I told you that this is 12 volts and our sensor actually needs 5 volts, but now we have to measure the buck converter to ensure it's supplying 5 volts. So what we'll do is this is the this is the output. So we'll take this here. Okay, and this is the input. Okay, but our sensor is not showing light. Sensor has gone off, but anyway, we'll check it, but we have to be sure that what the buck converter is supplying is actually 5 volts. So we turn this on. So at this point it's actually 0 because so it's actually showing 0 because this stuff is not connected. So we have to connect how to fix this very well. The buck converter is off. So can you see that it's 5 now? So it's showing 5 because now we've actually set this stuff at 5. So it means that this buck converter is sending 5 volts down to the, when you set this properly, right, it's going to indicate that it's 5 volts. So now our buck converter is going off due to connection. So now if you set it properly, when the buck converter is on and use your multimeter, it's going to be 5. So can you see the 5? So that's to show that it's truly sending 5 volts. So now let's take this out and ensure that our buck converter is truly connected. So now our buck converter is on, but now the sensor is not on. So now the wiring, so you have to ensure that your wiring is perfect, because if your wiring is not perfect, then so that's why it's best if you use soldering iron for this. Okay, all right, so now this is on and this is on. So now let's check if the fan is going to turn on when the sound sensor is on. All right, so we're going to play a song. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a song from YouTube. So most times I prefer using songs that are license free, or sorry, copyright free. So let's look for a copyright free song on YouTube. Copyright free song on YouTube. So I've seen a song, so let's try the song and see if our sensor is going to work. Okay. I'm playing. So can you see that I'm trying to get a song, but alright, so I think this is better. Can you see that this is working now? So if I take this out, it's going to turn off. So let's go back. So now if I put this stuff close to the sound sensor, can you see it's turning? But if I take it out, it goes off. So that's to show you that this stuff is working. So let's try one more time. I'll take this close to the sensor. You can see clearly that the fan is working. So when I take this close to the sensor, let me play another song. Alright. This is a fan is moving. So if I take this out, alright. Alright, so let's go back again. Can you see the fan is working, it's turning. So if I take the phone out from the fan, it's going to stop. So here we go.